All right, let's talk about one of the biggest wellness trends to come out of Silicon Valley, dopamine fasting. We're going to peel back the hype, look at the real science of pleasure versus happiness, and figure out why our search for a quick fix, well, it might just be making us miserable. Let's dive in.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Have you ever noticed how chasing pleasure, that next phone notification, another scoop of ice cream, one more episode of that show, it so often just leaves you feeling kind of empty? It's a huge paradox of modern life. And the answer? Well, it's deep inside our brains.
The thing is, we're basically living in this giant pleasure trap. Everywhere you look, there's something designed to give you that instant hit of gratification. And science is pretty clear on this. All that constant stimulation from social media, junk food, you name it, it actually starts to desensitize our brain's reward system. It's like turning up the volume on a speaker until it just blows out. This creates a really nasty feedback loop, one that can lead to addiction, impulsivity, and make it almost impossible to focus.
So, what's the supposed escape hatch from this trap? I'm sure you've heard of it. Dopamine fasting. Yeah, it's been pitched as this super trendy Silicon Valley solution for a complete mental reset. And the idea behind it seems simple enough, right? You just stop. You abstain from certain things like your phone, social media, maybe even some foods, all to let your brain reset its dopamine response. People who are into it claim it gives you amazing mental clarity, less anxiety, and helps you enjoy the simple things in life again.
Okay, now to be fair, there's a little bit of truth here. Taking a break from all that constant noise can help reduce impulsive behavior and improve focus. But, and this is a big but, the whole concept of dopamine fasting doesn't really have solid science backing it up. And when people take it to extremes, we're talking serious isolation or crazy diets, it can totally backfire. It can actually lead to loneliness, anxiety, and even, malnutrition.
And that brings us to the most important point, really. The term dopamine fasting, it's just wrong. It's a total misnomer. You literally can't fast from dopamine. That would be like trying to fast from breathing. Dopamine is absolutely essential for everything from motivation to just, thinking straight. The whole fad is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of the science.
So, if fasting from dopamine is a bust, then what's the real answer? Well, the actual issue isn't dopamine itself. It's that we, as a culture, have gotten two very different things completely mixed up: pleasure and happiness. And trust me, this isn't just about word choice. We're talking about two totally separate, competing systems inside your brain.
Okay, this right here, this is the heart of the matter. Your brain has two completely different ways to feel good. On one side, you've got pleasure. That's dopamine's job. Think of it like a quick, intense hit. It's short-term, you feel it in your body, and it's all about taking something for yourself. It's that sugar rush, that like on your photo. But then, on the other side, you've got happiness. That's powered by a different chemical, serotonin, and it's a completely different animal. It's long-term, it's more like a quiet sense of contentment, and it comes from giving and from connecting with other people. You can't get it from a substance. It's something you have to build.
Let's imagine they have voices for a second. Dopamine is the excitatory one. Its voice is always screaming, "This feels good. I want more." It's what drives you to seek that next reward again and again. Serotonin, on the other hand, is inhibitory. Its voice is calm. It says, "This feels good. I don't need any more." See the difference? One is the chemical of more, the other is the chemical of enough.
So that leads to a really wild question, right? How can chasing pleasure, the very thing we think will make us happy, actually make us less happy? Well, the answer is all about how our brain cells try to protect themselves.
This process is fascinating, so think about it. Constantly chasing that dopamine hit is like blasting your brain cells with loud music 24/7. After a while, to protect themselves, they basically start putting in earplugs. They literally pull back some of the receptors that dopamine plugs into just to turn down the volume. So what does that mean for you? Well, that's tolerance. Suddenly you need more of that thing, more sugar, more scrolling, to get even less of that good feeling. And that, right there, is the biological road to addiction.
But wait, it gets worse. Here's the real kicker. It's not just that you need more pleasure. The act of chasing dopamine actively fights against your happiness. How? Because get this, dopamine actually downregulates serotonin. Let that sink in for a second. The more pleasure you seek, the more you shut down the very chemical that makes you feel happy and content. It's a chemical civil war in your brain.
So if the dopamine chase is a trap, how do we get out? We have to understand its counterpart. We need to shift our entire focus away from those fleeting highs of dopamine and onto the long-lasting foundation of serotonin. Some researchers even call it the reality principle neurotransmitter. Why? Because its whole job is to help us live in the real world, happily.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Serotonin is like the brake pedal in your brain. It slows down all those crazy, excitatory, more signals from dopamine. It helps us stick with the sustainable everyday behaviors that are so crucial for our long-term well-being. It's not about the thrill of the hunt, it's about the peace of just being.
And its job description is huge. Serotonin helps us adapt, to be flexible. It helps balance our risk-taking and keeps aggression in check. It's the foundation for things like empathy and fairness. It even helps us learn from our mistakes and control our impulses. This is basically the chemical blueprint for contentment.
All right, so if dopamine fasting is the wrong approach, how do we get that mental clarity and balance it promises? The science is pretty clear. It's not about depriving ourselves, it's about cultivating the right things. First up, we've got to build resilience. This means instead of reaching for a quick dopamine fix to escape stress, we develop the mental tools to actually face challenges. That whole process, finding purpose, learning when things get tough, that's what builds up our serotonin foundation. It's about developing emotional intelligence, not just hitting the numb button.
Mindfulness is another huge one for rebalancing your brain. Things like meditation, yoga, or even just taking a walk outside, they help you step off that frantic dopamine treadmill. They literally train your brain to find satisfaction right here, in the present moment. That's that enough feeling we were talking about, the calling card of serotonin. No extreme measures needed.
And of course, there's the basics of self-care, which we can't ever forget. Getting enough sleep, eating real food, moving your body in a way you actually enjoy, and just creating a space around you that feels calm and supportive. All of this is absolutely crucial for keeping your brain chemistry in a healthy balance. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Real mental balance doesn't come from some extreme restriction. It doesn't come from trying to shut down a vital part of your brain. It comes from bringing together all these practices that build resilience, mindfulness, and real self-care. It's not about fasting. It's about feeding the part of you that actually matters.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Instead of trying to fast from pleasure, what if we started to feast on contentment? What's one small change you could make starting today to really cultivate that long-term sustainable kind of happiness? Just something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.